My dog is barking.
Yes, we heard.
Okay, you're on.
Thank you, Mary. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. This is a New Shoreham Town Council meeting for Monday, November 2nd, 2020. New Shoreham Town Council is meeting via telecommunications pursuant to Rhode Island's State of Rhode Island Executive Order 2046, dated June 12th, 2020. The Zoom access has been, there's access to the meeting via YouTube online on Clerkbase. There's also access by phone, and those numbers are on Clerkbase. I'll remind everyone, counselors will be recognized for other participants. Please do not speak unless you're called on. To raise your hand, push *9 on your phone, and push *9 to lower your hand. Push *6 on your phone to unmute, and push *6 to mute when finished speaking. Please remember this is a public meeting. Thank you all for joining us this evening. First item on the agenda is the warden's report. I have a couple things to bring to your attention tonight. First one is voting tomorrow will be, although we've been voting all along up until now. Sorry. There's some background noise. Although we've been voting at Town Hall up till now, voting tomorrow will be in the gym from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. So obviously, anyway, if you haven't taken advantage of the opportunity to vote either by mail or in person at Town Hall, tomorrow is the day to do it at the gym tomorrow. Second thing is to be aware of numerous scams that are going on via phone line. The scams may use local numbers. They may even have local names associated with them, but when you pick up, they may either try to tell you that your Social Security account has been suspended and you need to take action, or your electric bill is overdue, or they may apologize that they had a confusion, they've overcharged you, they may want to give you a refund. So grid, obviously these are all scams, but please be aware that anything like that coming into your phone line is be very, very careful of it. And don't answer any questions with the word yes. The next thing I'd like to do is to congratulate the downtown businesses and the folks in town for a successful and safe Halloween. I know the kids had a lot of fun, it looks like, with the festivities. The library did a fantastic job of decorating, and all the merchants who did the scarecrows. I think it made it very special for the kids in this year of COVID, and I really appreciate, and I'm sure the town appreciates all your efforts in order to make it a semblance of a fun activity for them on this Halloween. That's all I have for now. Andre, second warden, do you have anything? Oh, you're muted, Andre.
All set, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is public input. At this time, if anyone has anything they want to bring to our attention that is not on the agenda for this evening, with a brief message to us, you can certainly do that at this time. We do that by raising hands, push *9, and then I will call on you to speak. I'm not seeing any hands raised, so the first item on the agenda will be continued, an item that's been continued from November 29th, 2020, and that is a review of deer hunting dates for the 2021 season and discuss strategies and options for safe outdoor recreation. As I said, this item has been continued from the previous meeting, and it was raised over concerns that several people have had, including ourselves, over the idea of hunting season starting as it usually does on November 1st. But this year things are different. We've got a lot going on out here. We've got a lot more people here, both in rental homes and in private homes. We also have new restrictions, various restrictions from other states. Various states are starting to lock down more because of COVID. And there are concerns being raised about the hunting season starting on November 1st, which was obviously today. So we had a discussion at the previous meeting. We've continued it to this one because we wanted to get a little bit more information. Mary Ann, did you have any luck getting information from DEM on our ideas?
Sure. So what DEM has advised me, I did speak with them, and in speaking with them, they have what they call a regulatory process as it relates to hunting. And what happens through that regulatory process is that they have to post the dates that huntings will take place. They need to ask for public comments. They review those public comments, and then finally they file with the Secretary of State. All this process takes a good 90 to 120 days. So if we were looking to change anything that we have currently in place, we would have to go through that regulatory process. They cannot just change the dates. What they advised us to do is to speak with the property owners as it relates to hunting. So what I did was I reached out to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife about 2 weeks ago and asked that they delay the hunting season from November 1st to December 1st. Fish and Wildlife agreed to do that. They have posted signs that state that. They were going to have a press conference that have a press release to advise people of the new dates. So that and then as far as town-owned property, the Rodman Hollow and the Black Rock Point area, that is town-owned property. Hunting is not allowed on that property until January 1st. So that now leaves us with the private property owner. In order to hunt on private property, written permission must be gotten from the landowner by the hunter, and it must be presented and countersigned by the police chief. So what we're left with, U.S. Fish and Wildlife has agreed. State-owned property and town-owned, state-owned property, we don't do anything until January. So that just leaves the private landowners. What DEM has recommended to us is to work with the private landowners if we're looking to delay the start until December 1st. The only way DEM will be able to delay the start is if they go through this regulatory process of posting public comment, reviewing, making a decision, and filing with the Secretary of State. And that clearly is going to take longer than 30 days. So that is pretty much where we are at this point. We can start doing some PR with folks in this regard about alternate places to maybe walk, stay away from some of the trails where there is hunting going on, although they're not really going to be sure where the hunting's going on because it is on private property. So that's what I've managed to find out. We do have the state does issue 31 non-Rhode Island resident permits for those that want to hunt on Block Island. To date, they have issued 18 of those permits. I could not find out where they have issued those.
James,
states.
do you want to tell Margaret that dinner's ready, please?
So what we did was we looked at those states that if they were to come to Rhode Island, whether they'd be quarantined. It appears the number of the states surrounding Rhode Island at this point, based on what we saw today, the Massachusetts, Connecticut, New Hampshire, they can.
Marianne, you're muted. Hold on, Marianne.
So I'm not sure where I've left off or where I went muted. So those surrounding states at this point can enter Rhode Island, and they don't have to quarantine. They don't have to provide a negative COVID test. So that's where it is right now at this point. As it relates to DEM, they would have to go through their regulatory process, and that is just not going to happen at this point. They suggest we work with the private property owners.
Okay, thank you, Marianne.
Which you did with Fish and Wildlife.
Right. Before we continue, I'll just remind everybody to keep their phones muted unless they're called on to speak. We seem to be getting some background noise from a number of locations. Thank you, Marianne, for that report. Anyone have any comments or questions on Marianne's information? Chris Willie?
If you're looking for a mechanism to limit the out-of-state hunters, and 18 permits have been issued and they have to check in at the police station. If they're from a state that requires them to quarantine once they get here, that's your mechanism,
Right.
isn't it?
Chief, can decide not to sign it.
Right,
Absolutely right.
based on whatever state they're from.
Right.
Is November, all of November just bow hunting?
No, it's everything. It's muzzleloader, shotgun, and archery.
Can you limit it to just archery? No, that would be a DEM.
Well, technically, that'd be a DEM thing unless.
Yeah, okay.
The question arises is whether or not we want to use the COVID situation, emergency ordinance situation to deal with this. But that's another discussion to have. I'm sorry, Chris, to interrupt.
No, that answers my question. Thank you.
Sven Reesum?
Following Chris's logic, though, it would appear to me that it's our, I'm going to word this carefully, it's our job to support the governor's desire to have people quarantine. And if we know that they've come into the state and into the island and are now going to stay here or be here for more than, I think it's 24 hours, then isn't it our duty to say, you got to quarantine if you're going to hunt? And so therefore, until they've shown that they've been on the island for 2 weeks, we don't issue a license. Or sign the document, excuse me. I mean, I following Chris's logic, which I like.
That would be one way. Yeah.
I mean, I'm just trying to stay with the state, and the state has said, if you're from certain states, you've got to quarantine.
Right, and we don't know whether there may be other things coming down the pike in the next few days, several days from the state too, and which may restrict things even further.
But my point is they'll only go further, they won't go lighter. So
Right.
Wouldn't we want to do our duty to support the state and the governor?
Yeah, I think we would. Martha Ball? Go ahead, Martha. You're muted. There you go.
Okay, I wasn't muted. So I unmuted myself. I don't know what happened. Okay, I understand that the state acts as if the state is the sovereign. The state is not the sovereign. I'm tired of the state. We have the DEM, I'm sorry, the DEM acts as if they're the, I mean, we only have hunting out here because we allow it by town ordinance to begin with, which is enabled by state legislation. And that's the only reason we have the town ordinance that says we have to set the days in April, because a town can prohibit hunting absent under the state law. And I don't understand, along the same track that people are trying to follow, and I guess a little less frustrated and polite manner than I, Rhode Island's numbers are off the charts today. And the heck with the rest out-of-state states, Rhode Island's bad. And I don't understand why we can't shut this down because of the issues of COVID. And people are going to be going all over everywhere. I know they're outside, but if they're staying over there, I feel like we're back in March. It's ridiculous. I'm finished.
Thank you, Martha. Yeah, that the point well taken in terms of the in terms of setting the dates. It's the town that actually sets the dates of hunting, and we set what dates you can and can't hunt. That's correct. Other comments? Andre, did you want to chime in?
No, not right now.
Okay.
Can we get an answer from, maybe, is Kathy Marola here? I mean, could we do this under emergency ordinance, which is on our agenda?
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
Catherine.
Yes. So you can do it a couple of ways. The police chief, when he's asked to countersign the private landowner permission, can ask the questions about where they're from, whether or not they've quarantined, et cetera. The police chief can also take into consideration if there are more people out because of COVID walking around and he thinks it's a danger to the public, then he doesn't need to co-sign. If you're going to put a regulation or ordinance in because of COVID, then in order to justify it, we have to show what the relationship is between the ordinance, the emergency ordinance, and what you're trying to achieve.
Thank you, Kathy.
Catherine Marola, a question on what you just, on the information you just gave us. Would the chief have to do that on a case by case in terms of property basis, or would it be all right if he was just concerned in terms of the inhabitants, number of inhabitants that are out and about?
Well, we're looking at the DEM regulation 9.7.7C, and there are no criteria established for the New Durham Chief of Police giving permission.
Okay.
So in my opinion, it's at his discretion, as long as there's a justifiable reason that goes along with the discretion. So if he's seeing a vast increase in people walking around the island because indoor activities really can't go forward, and he's concerned about safety, that would be a justifiable decision. If more people are staying on the island, they're not going back to the mainland like they usually do. If more people are out and about, that could be considered a justifiable reason.
Thank you, Counselor. Sven Reason?
Following that same logic, Kathy, just continuing it, isn't it important that the police chief follow the state quarantine regulations and making sure they quarantine?
Oh, yes, and that would be one of the questions that asked. The problem I see right now is when I looked at the states that were listed, they don't seem to be the states that we typically draw our hunters from. You know, they're not the surrounding states or New Hampshire or Vermont. They're states that are further away. So maybe somebody would be coming from one of those states to hunt on Block Island, but I'm going to say that probably for the most part, they're going to come from states where you don't have to quarantine under the governor's current order.
I thought Massachusetts was on it. Okay. Even more.
Well, we looked at the link this afternoon to see if there had been a change, because you did update it, and there's a link that clicks to a list. Now, Massachusetts wasn't on the list. I don't know if the list has been updated or changed, but that's the current list on the website.
Are we on anybody's list?
You mean other states?
Other adjoining states?
Oh, I'd have to check state by state. I know Massachusetts, you can come from Rhode Island.
And when did they lift that?
I'd have to check each governor's order in the state, each different state, to tell you the exact dates of the order that was issued. For a while, you couldn't go to Maine from Massachusetts and Rhode Island.
Well, I'm only concerned about Massachusetts and Connecticut right now.
Yeah. So
I'm
I
looking
could.
at
I don't understand why we have to go through this DEM process and procedure, and why we have to put this on the discretion of the police chief when we've got a COVID issue going on mainland Rhode Island, and we're here to protect our town. If the DEM wants to do the whole routine where they own the deer, well, fine, come and take them. Otherwise, leave us alone.
I'm sort of with Martha.
Dr. Workup, I see that you're on. Did you have a comment?
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes, go ahead.
Massachusetts would be really the biggest one that'd be a concern for me. I was just trying to check the hot spots as well. Over the last 2 weeks,
Mass and
Excuse me?
Connecticut are not on it.
and I think with the idea that over the last 4 weeks, the last 2 weeks, Massachusetts has had over 5,000 new cases per week. So 11,260 cases in a 2 week period. They have the highest positivity rate. and Massachusetts is at 4.1% as of last week. So my biggest concern is if they're coming and they're doing hunting and they're leaving, I think that's something that we can manage well. The concern is if they stay on the island, interact with the community, interact with the local restaurants and pub scene. I get concerned about that if there is a concern for it, the level of anxiousness that develops as a result of that. And I think the idea of if the police chief can use his discretion based on what they're doing here, how long they're going to be here, and can react based on data that's 72 hours old, something that's more nimble than, let's say, government orders, I think we'll be fine.
Thank you.
Are there only two counties in Massachusetts right now that aren't hotspots, aren't there?
That's what I was trying to confirm. I'll see if I can grab that data right now while we're talking.
That was this afternoon.
All right, so it sounds like basically our best and most effective tool right now would be the checking in with the chief of police. What we're talking about, I believe, is 15 days for the month of November. There are 2 pheasant hunting days. There are weekend days. And then there's tomorrow is actually no hunting anyway because it's election day. So it's basically just 15 days.
It is.
All right. Further comments or questions on this? Anyone have any questions?
Well, so what are, Ken, just as summary, what are we asking the chief and the town manager?
Well, that was my next.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, I would, I'm just double checking to see whether or not we had an action item on the previous agenda that we've continued. Mary Ann, would you have any problem directing the chief to take the actions that we described here this evening?
No, I was just going to jump in and said it's clearly the consensus of the council that they would like to delay the shotgun muzzle-loaded hunting from until December 1st. I can work with the chief on that and let him know what the consensus of the council is and go forward from there.
Okay. I think that's.
I've got
Martha,
to
go
say
ahead.
something else. This doesn't make any sense. Are we talking about COVID or not? Or are we talking about people being out here?
I think we're talking about both at this point.
Because you were talking about people being, how about COVID? If you're waiting until people are here, that's, we don't want people coming out here and telling them we can't go hunting. They're just going to be angry, they're going to be frustrated, and they're already going to be here, so it's pointless.
What was your suggestion, Martha?
I just think we ought to delay the hunting day. What's the NRA going to, I don't even want to say it out loud. I just don't understand why we dance around something that is so important. And what the DEM says, or what some subsection of some law says, or wait until they get here is crazy. Frankly, I do respect. I think it is, because they're here. They're here, and that's. And even if they don't go hunting, then they're still here. So it just.
Well, if they're coming.
It doesn't make any sense to me. If they're coming to go hunting and they go to the police station to check in, and they're told they can't hunt, like I said, they're already here.
Can I ask a question?
Coming from Rhode Island, and Rhode Island's a hot spot. If you look at the map today, Rhode Island was the only red state in this area, in spite of Massachusetts' bad numbers.
Chris Willie?
Mary Ann earlier said there was 18 licenses issued from out of state. Is that correct?
That's what DEM has advised me, yes.
So we know who has licenses from out of state. You just contact them and tell them it's closed until December 1st.
What about in-state?
Then we can worry about in-state. Just one thing at a time.
Mary Ann, were those non-residents, non-state residents, non-island residents?
I confirm with DEM that they're non-state residents.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, if I just make one other point,
Right, Chris.
is we have a pretty comprehensive, listen, we know who hunts out here. Okay. I know Paul Dean used to be a big hunter. He still might. Joe DiMatteo. They're both police officers. We know what land gets hunted. So, I mean, just make the phone calls to these people and say, look, we want to close till December 1st. Who do you allow hunting on your property? Who do you give that permission to? Can you ask them not to do it? I mean, this isn't a hard task. It's 15 days in November that we're going to close. We can certainly do it in the emergency ordinance if we want to. I mean, DEM's comments are kind of irrelevant because we can get the information from them about the out-of-state hunters very easily. And then use the resources we have within the town and the people that we know within the town to contact the landowners that allow hunting on their property and ask them not to do it. And then if that, as well as the added layer with, the chief of police using his discretion. But it's a matter of not getting the people here and then telling them, no, it's a pretty regular list of people that come here to hunt. It's a small community. It's like boaters, except smaller. So why don't we use those resources and start making some phone calls and ask, the people that do know the hunters from the state that come here. Kirk Littlefield knows them all. Chris Blaine probably knows them all. Let's use the resources we have.
Thank you, Chris. Andre?
Thank you, Ken. So as my agenda reads, it's discuss strategies and options for safe outdoor recreation. And I think we're going down two roads here. I think we're discussing deer season, people coming out, but I also think, as Martha, correctly brought up, more people from the mainland coming here for any activity. So can someone clarify for me if we're talking about stopping mainland people from coming here and deer hunting and letting our local hunters go? Is that a hunt? Because I'm getting confused. I'm more confused as the conversation goes on. I feel as though safety is a paramount issue, but I also feel as though we have our own health issue, and it's deer, it's Lyme, it's this and that, and a significant amount of deer were taken in last November. We have a deer task force that works really hard to reduce the deer herd, and for us to summarily just take away these days in November to the tune of maybe 35 deer. I'm not sure I'm comfortable with that. But if we're concerned about people coming here from COVID, I think we need to discuss that as a not in just deer hunting. So I'm not really sure. I mean, I know this is one of those things that we have to has come up because of COVID. There's more people here because people are getting away and this and that. But again, I do feel as though safety is paramount, but I do also feel as though, if people are going to come here and spend time on the trails and whatnot, and there's more than before, they have to play by our rules. And we set these dates back in April or March. And I would just hate to start letting loose on our health issue to accommodate another one. So, I mean, I'm fine with whatever decision needs to be made here tonight, but it's one of those things that more of this is going to start happening that we need to start thinking of and keeping aware of because of COVID. I mean, but what are we talking here? Are we talking about the local guys? Are we going to stop the local guys? Are we trying to stop people coming in from hunting? Can someone clarify that for me?
I think, I believe that my original concern, that was brought to me was the idea of hunting going on first and foremost. It was only after we had the discussion at the last meeting that Dr. Workup brought to our attention the concerns of COVID. And I think that the initial concern and the biggest concern was that we have all the extra people around on the island, as you said, who may not be aware, may not understand what the orange flag is flying at the police station, have no idea what it means. They may not be aware of what the hunting dates are. They may not pay attention to that. And we'll have them, innocently walking around on the trails. And at the same time, we have the hunting going on. And you're right, there were 38 deer taken last year in November, which is one of the second highest month of taking. It's unfortunate that that's the case. But we have to weigh, I think we have to weigh the balance of overall safety during the hunting season with people here who are not used to the island, not used to the trails, not used to whose property is hunted on, and weigh that against add that to the COVID mix. And I think it's clear that there's a greater danger, a greater concern from that at the moment. Hopefully that later in the season, the hunters that are here will be able to hunt more aggressively and be able to take more deer, and perhaps we'll have some snow cover this year, so it'll be better hunting for them. Maybe we'll have a better season. But I think one of my concerns right now is the immediate concern of folks walking around, A, with hunting season going on, and B, with the COVID situation of people coming to the island. So I think we're dealing with those two things right now. Martha, your hand is still up.
Yeah, I don't understand why we're making this so darn complicated. If you shut it down, you have to shut it down for everybody. It's that simple. I don't know why you're also hesitant to do anything.
I agree, Martha.
We set it forward. We set it forward because we were waiting to see what the governor said on Friday, and we heard what the governor said on Friday. We know what the numbers are today, and it seems to be everywhere. It doesn't seem to be, like I said, I think we're the worst in the area right now, but which goes back to my question, if we're worrying about people coming from out of state, I think we should be worried about people coming from mainland Rhode Island. And I don't believe we can shut it down for, local people can hunt, off-island people can't. That was the whole problem we've had from the very beginning with this, with deer hunting.
Right, that would be counterproductive.
Well, that's kind of productive. I think it's just totally against everything that we've had, everything we've had going on in all of the rules and all the regulations. That I don't think that that's something you can justify under COVID. That somehow we can let local people hunt and we can't let the mainland people hunt. That's just silly.
Agreed. And your hand is
if needed, I will be willing to make a resolution, ask the town manager, ask the police chief to try and contact, to Chris's point, try and contact as many of the licensed people to let them know that hunting is delayed till December 1st, and or to not sign the forms. So if we need a motion, I'm willing to do that. I just don't know that we need one, or if the town manager can just do it.
Councilor Marola, can you advise whether or not we need to have a motion to do that?
The town manager can direct the police chief.
So therefore, I asked the town manager to do it, and if there's any opposition, yell, but I think we're there.
I agree. Further comments?
So we're just not doing anything. We're just letting this go to who we think might be hunting here.
Well, Martha, you can make a motion.
I don't have the board's right language.
So Martha, just so you know, my point was that anybody hunting shouldn't be coming to the island to hunt, or don't hunt till December 1st. And we're going to contact the people, and we're going to try and we're going to not sign the paperwork. That was where I was heading.
but you're going to run that by me again, Sven.
So if we know that there are 18 people with licenses it's per DEM, reach out to those people, contact them and say, the town manager will figure out the wording, but we are not having hunting until December 1st. Please don't come. If they happen to be here and go to the town hall, whether they live here or not, and they go to the police station to get the sheet signed, the chief should not sign it and say we're not allowing hunting until December 1st. And I'll let the town manager work on the wording.
But we have to say there isn't hunting until December 1st. We can't just leave it up to everybody else. I mean, we make a decision.
Well, that's why Ken just asked Kathy, and I thought she said we could.
Andre, your hand's back up.
Yes, thank you. Is what Martha's proposing, I don't know if that would fall under this agenda item. Martha's discussing either 7 or 8 on our agenda, but I could be wrong, and that's all.
I am, so that's exactly what I'm suggesting.
Well, that's not this item on the agenda, I think.
All right, hold on. I have a hand being raised from 7385. Some background noise. Folks, remember to mute your mics if you're not speaking. Phone number 7385. You can unmute yourself. Go ahead. Please identify yourself.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Now I can.
Ken, it's Chris Blaine.
Good evening, Chris.
Hi. I'd just like to clarify, if I can, if the council could make the wording of any motion allow the archery hunting to continue, which will give hunters the ability to take some deer. I don't see a breakdown in the last November of the number of deer taken with shotgun, muzzleloader, or archery, and it's pretty much unnecessary. But if you allow archery to continue, you will not take as many deer possibly, but you would still be able to take some. The firearms, which are shotgun and muzzleloader, which seasoned opened this morning, the federal land is already going to be closed in December 1st anyway. And I'd just like to clarify that archery could continue without any trouble. It's been going on since the day after Columbus Day already. And I think that there's no great harm there. That would still give people the opportunity to take some deer.
Thank you, Chris.
You're welcome.
Do we want to take this up again in one of the later items on number 7 or 8, emergency ordinance? Is that what I heard, Sven?
Sorry, I'm checking on moot. I'm fine to take it up later. I was just trying to address this with the town manager who said she could do it. Kathy said we could do it. And I think that eliminates it. If we want to also talk about it later or subsequently talk about it later, that's fine. That's fine.
Chris Willie?
I'm happy with having this handled in-house. Adding this to an emergency ordinance is
Me too.
is going above and beyond what the state's doing. And it's cumbersome. So, and to Chris Blaine's point, that's why I asked if archery season was for the month of November. I wasn't clear, but I think doing away with the firearms, maintaining archery, and having the ability to contact the licensees from out of state and have discussions with the people that are here now. I mean, I saw 3 guys yesterday checking in at the police station. So let's, we can handle it in-house, I think, instead of doing an emergency ordinance personally.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Sean McGarry, I see your hand up.
Thank you. What we have is two scenarios here. We have hunting season and we have a deer eradication program. I think by not allowing the deer eradication program to continue, you're really, thwarting what we've done to this point. We've decided not to go the route of white buffalo and, hiring a professional hunter to come here and cull the herd. We've decided to use our local hunters. We've issued a bounty program, and I think that should continue. Our local hunters know when, where, how, and why. And, I think the people of Block Island need you to continue that eradication program, regardless of COVID, regardless of the number of visitors. And that's my input. Thank you.
Thank you for your opinion, Sean. And we're certainly not talking about stopping the hunting season, and we're certainly not talking about stopping eradicating deer. We're talking about the immediacy of what's going on with as a result of COVID, both with people coming to the island and whatnot, and we're there's a lot more people here now, and they're not familiar with the properties. So I think this is something we can tolerate for another month. And I agree with Chris and Span. I think doing it in-house is the easiest way to do it, and it can be just as effective. And I think that's what we should do. Any further questions or comments? I guess my question, Catherine Marola, is that it's not specifically worded on the agenda that to take action on. So can we just can the town manager act based on what she's heard us discuss this evening? If there is consensus.
Anybody?
Kathy, you're there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, you can.
Somebody muted me. I'm sorry. What I said was, you're correct that the wording on the agenda from last time that was carried forward doesn't contemplate acting on it. But the town manager can certainly listen to the discussion and to take all of these points into consideration in moving forward.
Thank you, Counselor. Any further comments? Andre, you still have your hand up?
Yes, thank you. I'm just wondering if, am I muted? No.
No, you're good.
I'm just wondering if we have an opinion from the police chief on this. Do we have an opinion on the police chief on this yet? Has anybody spoken to anybody in law enforcement about the issue?
I have not spoken to the police chief about it.
Okay. Thank you.
Martha, your hand is still up?
It shouldn't be. I'm on,
Okay.
I guess mute myself. I'm not going to repeat it again. I think this is ridiculous.
Thank you. All right. Any further comment? Mary Ann, I believe you have some direction with what we discussed.
I do. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is receive and act on New Shoreham Town Council resolutions of signature authority for the USDA Rural Development Community Connect Program application. Mary Ann, would you like to discuss this, or shall I just go ahead with it?
Unless you have specific questions, we'll be happy to discuss it. Amy is also on the call on the meeting tonight also.
Oh.
So if you have any specific question, we'll be happy to answer them, or you can just move forward with the resolution. I'm happy with the resolution as presented to you this evening.
Okay. So this This subject concerns a broadband update on outside funding availability and requesting representative signature certifier authorization for the USDA Community Connect program. The request is that the town authorize Finance Director Amy Lewis Land as representative signature certifier of the USDA Community Project Connect program for the Block Island-wide broadband project. Does anyone have any questions on it, or does want any more information other than what's in the packet?
May I, Ken?
Go ahead, Ann.
I'm just wondering, is Amy on?
Yes, she is.
Hi, Amy. Thanks for coming. I'm just wondering, I support this resolution 100%. I'm just wondering while you're here, if you can give us an update on outside funding, because I know it's been a little while since we discussed it and it was quite an exciting prospect at the time. I just wondering if you can give us an update of our chances or where it's at.
Sure. I'm going to keep this a little bit brief, and I guess I would recommend that maybe we can all make some time to have a more formal update between the council and the broadband committee. But very briefly, the town was not able to participate in the FCC's RDOF auction, which kicked off at the end of last week. Crocker Communications was deemed an ineligible applicant. I would say, along with a number of other participants, I think 348 were allowed to participate out of 500. So the town was not able to take advantage of the FCC RDOF funding. In the meantime, we are continuing to pursue all other avenues. The USDA has released a Community Connect program for which the application was issued in early October and closes at the end of December. We are putting together our materials for that application, which is why you have this resolution in front of you. That's one of the steps in the process. And we are working with Jim Jeremiah, who's of course very familiar with USDA funding process, and building our application materials as we speak. Hopefully to at least receive a partial award. It likely would not be a full award, but we'll pursue as much as we can.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm just wondering if we could schedule that, keep that on our calendar. If we could schedule that meeting with broadband and town council sooner rather than later. I personally would love to hear your updates. And I thank you for coming tonight. Appreciate that.
I'll make a motion to authorize Amy Lewis Land, Finance Director, to have a signature authority on behalf of the town of New Shoreham for United States Department of Agriculture Rural Development Community Connect program related to the Block Island-wide broadband project.
Second.
Seconded by Andre. Any questions or further discussion? I think we should make sure we get a copy of this sent to, a copy of our application sent to Senator Whitehouse, because I know that when we was visiting out last year to the power company, he was his ears perked up when we talked about having a problem with broadband and getting hooked up and everything. So he might be able to help us move this along, but at least make him aware that we've applied. Any further discussion?
I think Amy has a comment on that.
Yep, go ahead, Amy.
Sure. I just do want to let everyone know that both White House's office and Reed's office and Langevin as well have been very helpful, both with the FCC and with USDA. And so we are not hesitating to reach out to them, and they are being very responsive. So.
Fantastic. Thank you, Amy. Any further discussion or questions? All those in favor, Andre?
Aye.
Ben?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Martha?
Aye.
I vote in the affirmative also. We will have to, motion carries unanimously. We'll have to sign this resolution, so it'll be in town hall. I'd suggest that everyone on the council stop in tomorrow and try to get it signed so we can get it done as soon as possible. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amy.
Next item on the agenda is to receive and act on a request for a town of New Shoreham reacquisition of cemetery plots and refund purchase price of $200. We have the information in front of us. I'll make a motion to approve the reacquisition of cemetery plots and the refund purchasing and refunding the purchase price of $200 to the party in question. Seconded by
Andre?
Andre, thank you. I'm sorry, Andre, your video is kind of delayed there and stuff, so I can't really tell if you're speaking or not.
It's been awful up here on the hill this week.
Yeah. Motion is made and seconded by Andre. Any further discussion? All those in favor, Andre?
Aye.
Ben?
Aye.
Chris Willie?
Aye.
Martha Ball?
Aye.
I vote in the affirmative also. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is set restrictions on mobile food establishment operations, number of permits pursuant to New Shoreham General Law, Chapter 8, Section 210. Will anyone need to recuse on this?
I have a question about that. Are you guys gonna have a quorum for Payne's Killer Donuts? Because that's the only food truck that the Ethics Commission has advised that I can vote on their issues. So if you're gonna have a quorum for that, you won't need me. But if so, I'm gonna disappear. Take
Well,
off.
on this one, the motion is going to be to set the maximum number. It won't be specifically to remove or consider the individual licenses, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, Councilor Marola?
That's correct. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, this is just the general setting, the location, and the numbers.
Well,
Yeah. Okay, what I'm wondering is if you need me to vote for her location, if there's a quorum for that. I can't vote on any other locations, obviously, but I'm fine.
that would be the next item on the agenda.
All right, well, I'm here. Let me know if you need me.
Okay. My question though, Molly Fitzpatrick, if you're on, my question though is that it says the cap is currently set at 5 and all 5 food trucks have indicated they'll be renewing. But in the parentheses, I only see 4 listed.
Sorry, Ken, let me pull that.
Can you counted Aldo's and the boat is 2 separate ones? Oh, never mind, they are, never mind.
Oh, is that what it is, Martha? You may be right.
No, oh, that's not it. It's the one at the farm that's not listed.
That's right. It's the one at the farm that's not listed, and she has indicated that she wants to renew. So it's my mistake. There are 5
Okay.
food trucks. I just didn't list them all.
Okay. All right. Good. Thank you. All right. The maximum number of permits for the following calendar year shall be set by the town council at the first Monday town council meeting, which occurs in November. This is according to Town of New Shoreham General Ordinance, Section 8-310, restrictions on operations and number of permits. The cap is currently set at 5. I'll make a motion to set the maximum number of New Shoreham mobile food enterprise permits at 5 for the 2021 license year. Andre, I'm sorry. Andre, you have a question?
I guess not.
His hand's raised.
That was from before. I'm recused.
Okay, thank you.
So I don't have any questions.
All right. All right, do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Sven. Any further questions? All those in favor? Sven?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Martha?
Aye.
I vote in the affirmative also. Motion carries with 1 recusal. Andre. Next item on the agenda is to set restrictions on mobile food establishment operations, locations of operations pursuant to New Shoreham General Law, Chapter 8, Section 310.
Ken, before we go into this aligns with the opinion from ethics last year, because there was a discussion as to who could or couldn't participate. And I was allowed to participate based on sort of the least, I don't know, aggrieved or whatever you want to call it. Assuming that's continued on, then I'll participate, but I just want to make sure that it's following last year's opinion.
Okay. We'll have to break these down individually, I think, so that we can recuse when necessary.
Did Chris have a comment? Oh, sorry.
That's what I'm waiting for. Chris, go ahead.
Last year's opinion was specific to issuing a new license. However, Ken and I, well, Ken can speak for himself, but I obviously can't vote on Payne's Donuts.
But you could vote on the others.
I don't see why not. I mean, yeah, this is kind of yeah.
So I guess, so if sorry to be silly here, but if I don't vote on the farm, I could vote on Payne's, and so we would have a quorum. I'm
Right.
really,
As I said, I'm going to take these individually.
okay, thank you.
So the only one before we go there, the only I think there's a correct me if I'm wrong. We have the locations listed as the current locations, but there was a new one requested at the bottom. Island Free Library, letter of permission received from the librarian. Molly, is that correct? That's not a current location.
That's correct. That's not a renewing location. That's a new request for a location. They were not specific about which food truck was going to be there. And that was the case with Interstate too. They just wanted to reserve the option to host a food truck.
Okay. I know Kristen's with us this evening. Kristen, did you want to come on and have a comment on this? Kristen Bauman?
I was just told I am unmuted. Is that correct?
Yes, you are.
Great. I'd first like to say thanks for acknowledging the hard work the librarians did on the front lawn and with the decorating, and that's sort of where this request came from. I've been percolating the idea of having a food truck come for special events or, the Thanksgiving Day stroll, whether that happens or not this year, I think the chamber is going for it, but to me, it remains unknown. I wasn't sure what food trucks were renewing and what weren't. I'm not even quite sure which are mobile or which are not. But I think having the library as a spot, if an event ever comes up or the opportunity ever comes up, would be really good for everyone, right? And as I mentioned in my letter, that it's good for the food truck, it's good for everybody on Dodge Street, everybody on Water Street. I would say that in years past, although I think things are changing in our town, but in years past, if you came to Block Island on a winter weekend, you came to the library, right? I mean, there was nothing else to do. You came to the library or walked on a trail. And so, I could possibly imagine a food truck on 3-day weekends in front of the library, Martin Luther King, President's Day. I'm not sure. Maybe St. Patrick's Day is another busy holiday, busy weekend for us. And so like Interstate, I just thought, maybe we should just get on the list and be approved and see what happens and see if we could offer economic opportunity to a food truck, to the local businesses, as well as, supporting the Island Free Library patrons. Lots and lots of libraries throughout Rhode Island, throughout the country have cafes, have little restaurants, so it's very normal for people at libraries to be able to get something to eat, to take a break from studying, to take a break from what they're doing and grab a snack. So that's sort of what we've been percolating for many years. We did decorate the library lawn. It was like this gorgeous, glorious day out there. I said, this is the year I'm going to call the town and get on the agenda. I called Molly and she said, well, they're talking about it on Monday. Get me a letter quick. And so that was the chain of events, and that's where we're coming from tonight.
Kristen, thank you for that. Have you and or the library board had discussions about the actual location? I know you just mentioned the sounded like you were talking about the parking lot out front, but have you had any kind of detailed or lengthy discussion about where you might locate this food truck? I know that parking is occasionally tight at the library, and I didn't know if you had discussions about what that would do to the dynamics of the parking situation and then what your options might be.
So I haven't had any discussions with the board. I see this as programming, and that's not generally their purview. But I do understand your question there. And, you all know that the library has those front spaces, but actually 2 of them we can't even use because they're too short. And so, depending on the food truck, what would fit there, I'm not sure. We also take 3 to 4 spaces in back for staff parking. Potentially the truck could go in the back and the staff could walk that day or walk somewhere else. My thought was that I was coming to you for, approval, and then I would figure that out. But perhaps you have a different view on that. Perhaps you want it all figured out before you approve location. Again, I thought I'd get on the agenda, start a conversation, and see where we went.
Okay, thank you. Does council have any questions on this? Andre, go ahead. Is your hand still?
Sorry, I know I'm recused, but I have to correct something that was that was read and wrong. The interstate lot, my permission to use interstate's lot is specific to my food truck. It's not just a general request. I don't know if you have that in your packet, but I have the letter here if you'd like me to read it. But again, I should be recusing, but I had to correct the record on that. It is specific to my truck. And it's specific dates, it's shopping strolls. It's not.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Now,
So that, go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Ken.
Go ahead. Kristen, go ahead.
Kristen, go ahead. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So so that's an interesting point that Andre makes. That sort of says to me maybe we should have a spot for other people that may want to move in town. We're seeing some activity at Three Sisters right now. Three Sisters themselves is trying to do some dinners. I don't know how long that's going to go on for. Maybe, that location won't be available to people in the future. Maybe there'll be, I know Sven and 16 and Kelly's Farmstead Refreshments is making a go of it up at the farm this year, but maybe as Sven did last year, he moved his shop down to Dave Shatowski's gallery. Maybe Kelly wants to come into town during winter as well. It's this idea of, I don't want to limit us. I'd rather expand economic opportunity and congeniality and hospitality, all these things that the library can offer with the addition of a food truck. We can just build on that foundation. As we know, our population is growing and our year-round economy is growing and our year-round population is growing. I'd like to expand on that and take those opportunities forward.
Okay, thank you, Kristen. Sven, go ahead. Yeah, hand is raised again. Go ahead, Sven.
Yeah, Ken, I think if it's okay with you, I think this is where we may need to get an advisory on adding a location and who can vote on it. And I know that sounds crazy, but sort of following up on last year, I worry that I just don't want to have anybody get into any trouble. And so I think I may have to ask for an advisory, which may not allow you to have a quorum. I don't know.
On this,
Chris, what
on
you're
this
thinking?
particular location, Sven?
Well, on adding a location, I don't know, Chris. I'm willing to listen to anybody.
Yeah, I'll give my 2 cents.
Go ahead, Chris.
So we had to get an advisory last time because we were adding a license. And when you get into adding a license or adding a location, you add the element of a competition element, the element of competition, which may or may not affect certain individuals financially. It's just, again, it's not hard to do. It's not going to hold anything up. I think an advisory for an additional location would be beneficial, because I think a lot of these locations down the line may change, as Kristen she alluded to a little earlier, with some may be eliminated, some may be added. And I think with the other point I wanted to make with the locations is, I didn't get the list, but can we have date specific, Kristen? I know you mentioned some ideas. So with that location, can we have a kind of a date specific? Because even if it's a couple of months in the winter, I don't care what it is, but it helps in, hypothetically, let's just say with an advisory opinion, if it's a wintertime location, there's no conflict with operations that are just operating in the summer or will only operate in the summer. You know, that's just my 2 cents, but I think when we are adding locations and licenses, considering Ken, Sven, myself, Andre, all have an indirect or direct relationship with one of these entities, it's just an easy thing to do. It doesn't mean by any means that it's off the table, though. So we have something to actually ask, and then we can actually move forward and vote on it.
Right. Thank you, Chris. Good point. Sven, do you have a question?
No, I'm right with Chris. And
Martha-
it'll take a month, a few weeks, whatever it takes.
Martha, do you have a question?
Well, basically the same thing. If we're really talking special events, I think it's a little different than if we're talking a blanket a few months in the wintertime, because I do think parking is an issue if it's going to be there all the time. That is an extraordinarily well-used facility in town, and there very often isn't, even in wintertime, it's pretty hard to find parking there when it's open. And I think that's obviously everybody's objective is to get the library open again. And so it all sounds really good, but I think that kind of got glossed over. And I think the interstate one is very specific to a time, isn't it? I don't know. I have nothing. I have no documentation other than the summary.
Yeah. Yes.
So Ken, I'm sorry, just to reiterate, I'm more about adding the location. I think we can work around to your comment on all the existing locations, but I think I'd prefer that we go for a advisory. And Kristen, I love the idea, but I just want to make sure we don't get caught, or messed up.
Thank you, Sven. Bill McComb?
Yeah, Ken, for Interstate, we had submitted a letter for that shop and stroll Thanksgiving weekend with Southeast Delights.
Right. Okay.
So I don't know if that's on the table for a vote or not.
Well, the location is on, but it isn't necessarily it isn't identified as a date that we have in our packet. I see anywhere.
I submitted a letter with I can read the letter to you if you want, but I submitted a letter with the date and time.
Yeah, as you usually do, right?
Yeah, I did. You have it. You should have it anyways.
Yep. All right. Further comments? I think what I'm leaning toward doing is going with the locations. We'll hold off on the final one until we get a recommendation from the commission. But I think we'll go along in current locations, and people can recuse when they have to on each individual one.
We'll continue the last one, right?
Yeah, I'd like to continue that. Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah. Any further questions, comments? Okay. So I'll make a motion to approve the following location for the calendar year. Plat 8, Lot 1, Southeast Light Reservation, 122 Mohegan Trail,
Second.
Seconded by Chris. Further discussion? All those in favor, Sven,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Andre,
Recused.
recused, and Martha?
Aye.
Martha approves. I approve also. Motion carries 4-0 with one recusal. I'll make a motion to approve the location of Plat 4, Lot 68 from Mosquito Beach, Corn Neck Road.
Second.
Seconded by Chris. Discussion? All those in favor? Chris,
Aye.
Ben,
Aye.
Martha?
Aye.
Andre? Andre, are you recusing?
Yeah, I'm recusing on everything but the donuts. pink
Okay.
stuff.
I'm sorry. Thank you. All right. And I approve also. Motion carries 4-0 with recusal. Make a motion to approve the location of Plat 6, Lot 129 at Gilbert Drive, Old Town Road.
You broke up, Ken. Could you say it again?
Background noise from somebody.
Martha's little.
I'll make a motion to approve Plat 6, Lot 129, the Goburn property in Old Town Road.
Second.
Seconded by Chris. Discussion? All those in favor? Sven?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Martha?
She's muted.
Martha? Can you unmute Martha, please? I don't seem to be able to do it. Martha?
Can you hear me now?
I can, yes, thank you.
Um,
We're voting
Aye.
on the Goburn property. You vote in
Yes,
affirmative?
yes.
Thank you. I vote in the affirmative also. Motion carries 4-0 with one recusal. I'll make a motion to approve the location of Plat 6, Lot 150, Interstate Taxi Lot with a letter of permission received for specific dates.
Second.
Seconded by Chris. All those in favor? Chris?
Aye.
Ben?
Aye.
Martha?
Aye.
I vote in the affirmative also. Motion carries. The next item will be Plat 5, Lot 104, Carol Payne property at Fort Island, operator owned. Will recuse on this one.
I will recuse on this one. Chris will recuse.
All right, I don't have to. I'm good on that. All those in favor?
You want me to second that, Andre?
Yeah.
Second?
All those in favor? Aye. Sven?
Aye.
Aye.
Martha? Good?
Aye.
Motion carries 2 recusals.
Thank you, Andre.
You're welcome.
I'll make a motion to approve the location of Plat 7, Lot 33, the Draper property at 5 Spring Street with a letter of permission received.
Sven Reesum recuses.
Second.
Motion seconded by Chris Willie. Discussion. All those in favor? Chris?
Aye.
Andre? Oh, no, I'm sorry, Andre recusing. Martha?
Aye.
I vote in the affirmative also. Motion carries. I'll make a motion to approve location of Plat 20, Lot 21, Great Salt Pond from Andiamo Zeke.
Second.
Seconded by Chris. All those in favor? Chris?
Aye.
Ben?
Aye.
Martha?
Aye.
I vote in the affirmative also. I'll make a motion to continue the conversation for Island Free Library as a location, as a potential location, until such time as we receive information necessary to vote on it properly.
Second?
Seconded by Sven. All those in favor? Sven?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Martha?
Aye.
Andre?
Recuse.
Recuse, okay. Motion carries 4-0. I vote in the affirmative also. Thank you all on that. Next item on the agenda is boards, commissions, and committees, or boards, committees, and commissions. To receive and act on offers to serve on boards of assessment review, Recreation Committee, I think we've already done that.
School
Yeah.
committee,
School committee and tax assessors.
School Committee was the only one we're going to be able to take we're going to take action on tonight with a name.
Ken, for the school committee, I'm going to recuse.
Okay. Anyone else recusing?
I have a question.
Martha, go ahead.
I thought we had 2 names for school committee.
We actually have, I believe at this point in time, sitting here, one person is going to be and we do have a second name that was submitted for the school committee. We do have 2 names, Martha. Yes, we do.
I mean, for the appointment.
For the appointment by the council.
Okay, because I think I've only got 1 letter.
I've gotten one.
I have one.
I think I saw the other on email or something, but I've only got 1 here.
Yeah, the other one was received today from Pam Austin.
Well, that one I've got. I guess it's the one from is it Charlie that
Yeah,
that came a while back.
we'd already gotten a letter from Charles Weber.
Okay.
Would
Make a
anyone,
motion to,
would anyone like me to read the letter we got today?
Please.
You know, we've had it for a while, haven't we?
Well, mine's is dated received October. Oh, you're right, October 2nd. Right, I apologize.
I don't have that.
So anyway, it's dated September 30th. Dear Block Island Council members, as a full-time resident of Block Island, I respectfully submit this letter as consideration of one of the open positions on the school board committee. For the past 20 years, I served as a teacher and elementary principal in Connecticut. My career as an educator included teaching in Deep River, Connecticut in grades 3 and 6. As for the past 9 years, I've served as a principal of Gallup Hill Elementary School in Ledyard, Connecticut. Formal education includes a doctoral degree in educational leadership, Central Connecticut State University. My research and professional experiences afforded me growth and knowledge in the areas of teaching leadership skills, primary and secondary arts, language arts, and mathematics instruction, along with developing a passion for student interest to drive more personalized instruction. As a school administrator, I gained firsthand working knowledge of school budgets and building maintenance, scheduling, using both formative and summative data to improve instruction, teacher evaluation, and hiring protocols, and current practice of recent changes in education, including the safety procedures and virtual teaching and learning during the COVID-19 pandemic. Being a recent retiree, I'm in the fortunate position of being able to use my prior experience to bring an additional perspective to your important work. It'd be a privilege to serve in your school committee. Thank you for considering my candidacy. I look forward to hearing more about your unique school community. Sincerely, Pam Austin. And I apologize, that is dated October 2nd, not November 2nd. And it was written on September 30th. Any questions or comments? Or motions?
Okay, I'll make a motion to appoint Charles Weber to the unexpired term of Kara Senate.
Second.
Motion made by Martha and seconded by Andre Bujo to appoint Charles Weber to the unexpired term of Kara Senate. And I believe that term expires in 12/22.
Yes.
And that will be, just for clarification, I'm sorry, may I, Ken?
Go ahead.
So this person would be serving until 12/22, so that would mean they would have to run again in November of 22. They would actually have to run.
Well, the position
Or-
will be opening.
The position is going to be open in 12/20 in the next election, the 22
Right.
November. All right, thank you. Appreciate that.
Yep. Motion's been made and seconded. Andre?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Martha?
Aye.
Sven? Oh, you're recusing, I'm sorry. I vote in the affirmative also. Motion carries 4-0 with 1 recusal. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Charlie Weber, for putting your name in, for being willing to serve, and also thank you, Pam Austin, for expressing your interest in the position also. Please stay interested. I'm sure there'll be other opportunities to get involved in the school community.
Bill McComb has his hand up.
It's been up. Bill, I'm sorry, Bill, you've had your hand up for a while. Just forget to put it down?
No, that was from earlier when you had called on me.
Okay, that's what I thought. Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Still looking for names for folks to serve on the Board of Assessment Review. I have made a phone call or two, but I'm going to keep working on it. And I believe we made other appointments. We do have another opening, though, I believe, in the Deer Task Force. Molly, can you correct me on that? Molly Fitzpatrick?
This is Molly. You're right, Ken. There is one more opening on the Deer Task Force.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is correspondence. We received a notice to the town as an abutter for concerning a new Class BVL license application of Kimberly Ward and Ruth L. McTeague, doing business as Black Island Cookie Company, Ocean Avenue, Plat 5, Lot 64-1. There'll be a town council hearing on November 12th, 2020 to consider this. This is just the correspondence to note that we've been noticed as an abutter. We're not taking any action on it this evening. Next item on the agenda is discuss and act on possible amendment to the emergency ordinance 2 of the town of New Shoreham, adopted May 27, 2020, as amended, pertaining to communal housing and other issues during the COVID-19 pandemic. Mary Ann, this item's been put on the agenda. Do you have any update on it or comments on it?
No, I don't have any comments or update on it at this point.
Okay. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions or comments or like to make any discussion on this? Andre, go ahead.
Thank you, Ken. It's just a point of order, not really point of order, but I'm just wondering if we are, it says communal housing and other issues. I'm wondering if, well, first of all, I wonder if we can leave these two items on an agenda as placeholders in case something changes with the governor, with the governor's orders, whatnot. But I'm just wondering if communal housing and other issues is that pertinent to have on our agenda now? I mean, apparently it's looking like we have 2 emergency ordinances, one for mass, one for communal housing. And I know these cover a lot. I'm just wondering if we might want to work on these and make it more streamlined and update it between now and, as an ongoing conversation.
Molly, in terms of having them on the agenda this evening, can you enlighten us in terms of they were put on as an opportunity in case something did come up with the state? Is that correct?
That was my understanding. I had a request from a couple of town council members who asked that they be added to the agenda.
Okay. All right.
As a result of the changing situation.
Yeah, Andre, point well taken. We certainly will have that on and put that on as best we can. Any suggestions in terms of streamlining it, we've well received. So if there's nothing, does anyone have anything they want to bring up under this particular item?
Well, that's my question is, if we bring something up under this item, it's pertaining to communal housing, right?
Yeah, unless, I mean, it depends what you're bringing up. I mean, unless it's something that's going to be covered under the next one.
Which is masks.
Right.
No, I was one that suggested we put this on there. And just as a, just in case we didn't know what the governor was going to say on Friday. The governor seems to be saying, keep an eye on everything for the next 2 weeks, which is extremely important. But I don't know, is the doctor here right now? He is. I'm wondering if he might have any suggestions for us, if he thinks anything needs to be changed. I mean, I don't want to go messing with this without his input.
Andre, I have no suggestions on any changes. I did just draft a new video urging mask wearing and other precautions based on the governor's sentiment on Friday. and I'll continue to update those offerings more frequently.
Hold on one second. I think Martha got kicked out. Is Martha Ball here?
Or Ken or Andre?
Hold on. I think we need to get Martha again. She had asked this put on. I think she's out of the meeting. Oh, she's back. Okay.
Well, what I was just going to say is that I think this line item is really around emergency ordinance 2. So I wouldn't get too hung up on communal housing because it goes to other issues. So I think that big massive thing is, to your point, I think we can discuss anything.
Thank you. I'm fine right now. Like I said, I just wanted to make sure nothing glaring came out. But, Friday, and nothing did. But I think we're back to reminding everybody just to be vigilant and wear your masks. And I'm wondering if, under this, maybe we can remind or have Mary Ann just, I think Mary Ann and Sven, you want to talk about, I think you guys did a wonderful thing this weekend by visiting some of the places and just reminding everybody. And I'd like to see more of that because I think people do get complacent. And I think it's going to lead to problems if we let our guard down, and problems will lead to us taking drastic measures that we probably don't want to take. But, we have to keep an eye on, I did mention the other night briefly that I had some parents concerned about the kids leaving and going to different states and coming back to the school on Monday. But I don't know how we're going to be able to regularly travel for kids. I think we have to let everybody do their own thing and, kind of hope for the best right now and hope nothing goes south. But I think having these on the agenda allows us to take action if that actually does happen. With that, that's really the reason why I wanted this on the agenda. And I see Martha also, I believe, asked, so I will yield the floor to Martha if she wants to say something about it.
Yeah, Martha, I see your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I only put my hand up because I got bumped out of the meeting somehow. And so you didn't know I was back. I guess no one knew I was missing. Goodness.
You did, actually.
What was I missed the conversation from when it started about communal housing, and that was the last thing I heard.
Well, the conversation started about why these two items were on, and if there's anything specific anyone wanted to bring up. And this one in particular, this one, one of the things it dealt with was communal housing and a couple other things, but no one had any suggestions about what they about changing this one at the moment. We did poll a doctor and he didn't have anything on this one either. I think the concerns we might want to talk about that Andre has brought up, some of the concerns he had might be coming up in the next agenda item, which deals with emergency ordinance from June 24th. So unless you have.
Okay, so we're talking about just the general one.
Right.
Yeah, I was never sure why the mask was a separate ordinance, but
Well, it was basically that's just a brief description of it, but there's a lot more in it other than just masks.
Okay.
Just like in number 7. In number 7, there's a lot more in it than just communal housing. I believe it also covered taxi stuff and everything else. There's a whole bunch of different stuff in it. So.
Okay, well, I certainly wouldn't change anything at this point.
Okay.
The only thing where do we end up with the deer? That we're just gonna not do anything?
No, Mary Ann is going to follow up on that and take action with that with using the chief.
That's what I said. That we're not doing anything.
Not officially, no. But if there's nothing else on number 7, let's move on to number 8. I know there's some concerns going on. There's some concerns being raised about masks in town, and I think that might be the time. This might be the opportunity to bring it up and discuss it. Anyone has any objection?
Nope.
Okay. So the next item is discuss and act on possible amendment to emergency ordinance of town and storm. There's been some concern about lack of mask wearing downtown, and I know I've had discussions with Mary Ann about it. And Mary Ann, have you had any follow up on that in terms of the concerns we've had?
I did have the opportunity to speak with Brian Wilson Saturday afternoon. And it was about 3:30 in the afternoon. And we discussed a couple of issues. And one in particular we discussed is masks, because I just so happened to have been in town at the post office probably a few hours prior to that, and noticed that there were two workers that were walking around and did not have masks. So, and also Mr. DuPont also brought up that he has known folks without mask workers. So what I did when I was speaking with Brian is I asked him to the importance of re-emphasizing with his workers that masks need to be worn. He had a 4 o'clock meeting scheduled with his employees, and he was going to go through that dialogue again. So I'm assuming and I'm hoping that he's had that dialogue, which I don't doubt that he didn't. And I think based on my conversation with him on Saturday afternoon, I think we'll see an improvement in that area as it relates to that. But I think it's important that we re-emphasize that not only I've seen other people without masks in town also, so I think it's really important that we remind folks the importance of wearing masks in light of what's going on currently in the state.
Thank you, Marianne. Yeah, we've had, I had a complaint that I followed up on in terms of observations of the crews that have been working on the projects, the cable rear burial, in their meeting operations and in their work situations. So we did, as Marianne said, we did pass word along to them that we, because these folks are coming from who knows where, coming to the island. So we're concerned that they follow our ordinances and the mask wearing recommendations of the town and also the state and DOH. So we're going to follow up on that and keep a close watch on that. Dr. Workup, did you have any input on this at the moment? Did you want to make any specific comments or advisory?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Just to validate that, I had a separate communication with Mr. Wilson about congregation in various business establishments. And I think he and I communicated late Saturday afternoon that message was relayed. And I think we'll see much improved compliance there. What we had an episode with a positive case last week, and what the messaging we got through the contact tracing is just trying to reinforce that we understand there's a lot of fatigue with COVID, and being cooped up inside gets more and more difficult as the days grow shorter, that when we're gathering, especially with holidays, please remember social distancing has its place, mask wearing has its place. And the etiology for most of the spikes that we're seeing in Rhode Island is from small gatherings, 5 to 10 people that are friends having gatherings, parties, etc., with no mask wearing, leading to other outbreaks. And that was similar to a scenario that we had over the weekend. So please stay vigilant with your masks. We understand everybody's tired of it.
Thank you, Dr. Workup. Sven Riesling?
Yeah, I agree with Dr. Workup and the town manager. But I think we need to do a better job and proactive job beyond the 17 people that are on the call. And I guess I'll leave that up to the two of them, Dr. Workup and the town manager. I think we need to be, I don't think we have to quite go to having something on the boat and at the planes, but maybe. I think it's not just the work crews. Obviously, they are participating on the island, but I'm seeing a lot of people on the island that are fatigued and are tired. And, suddenly you got 4 people. Next thing you know, there's not masks or 6 or 8 people. When I toured around with Marianne, introducing her to a number of bar owners and restaurant owners, there were a number of people that didn't have masks on. Now, they may have been near or around establishments, but I just think all of us are tired, and I think we just need proactive reminders. And I don't, obviously we can wear that out, but at this point, I do think basically what Dr. Workup just said, I think we need to, whether it's in the paper, it's on the bulletin board, it's all kinds of different ways. We need to remind people that it's just as bad as it was in March. So I sure don't want to go back to there with resolutions. I want people to help out. And I think we need to communicate. personally.
Chris Long?
Yeah, this isn't something that we can drop the ball on, because if anything's going to stick around for a long time, it's going to be the mask wearing. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we see it in some form next summer. So that's just the reality of it, the way things are going. And the more vigilant we are, I think the better off we are in the long run. I know everybody's fatigued with it. It's kind of a pain in the neck, but honestly, it's going to be the way it is for quite a few more months, I think. So something that you just got to do.
Thank you, Chris. Andre?
Yeah, I guess just everybody just kind of, this all revolves around, yet again, enforcement. So Marianne, can you ask our chief if he's going to enforce our ordinances this winter? Because this is just talk. This is all just talk unless we know we're going to have enforcement. So I'd like a definitive answer on that. We had challenges with that last time, and personally, I don't want to go into another winter with those challenges. It's either we're on board with our ordinances that we have because we're in a public health emergency. So before we move any further with changing any of these ordinances, I would like a definitive answer if we're going to have enforcement support. And that may be yes, that may be no, but I don't think we can do anything here until we have that answer, because until we had to have that answer, we're just banging our heads up against a wall. So Marianne, if you could get that answer, if we will have effective enforcement with the mask wearing, because obviously everybody knows masks are where it's at and masks protect people. A lot of people don't believe that's the case. A lot of people find reasons not to wear them. A lot of people just, for whatever reason. I mean, as a policymaker, I need to know if we're going to have an enforcement arm this winter before I move forward with anything else. And I appreciate, Marianne, I appreciate that.
I will see to it that it is enforced.
Thank you.
Bill McComb?
Can
Martha, go ahead. I'm sorry, Bill. Hold on, Bill. Go ahead, Martha.
No, I only say I don't disagree that we need enforcement, but I'm appalled that we have to have enforcement. We're talking about our community now. We're not talking about people who are, for the most part, we're not talking about people who are coming over here. And I would hope that everybody who is here would take this a little more seriously. I know we've gone back to virtual church at the Harbor Church, at least for a couple of weeks, in consideration of what came down from the governor and what came down from other folks in faith communities in the state. We need enforcement. We also need some personal responsibility. And I'm tired of all of this. It's all, if the police don't enforce it, then there's no point in doing it. Yeah, there is a point in doing it, because people can darn well take responsibility for themselves, for their community, for their friends, for their families.
But that includes the police as well.
It's not 6 to 1 1/2 dozen. It's both. It's not one or the other. It's both.
Thank you, Martha. Bill McComb?
Yeah, speaking from the EMA standpoint, I agree with Dr. Walkoff. I think the fresh air has been our friend, and we've been very fortunate with that. But as we come into the winter, the concerns, heighten greatly between the not having the ventilation and that we have the luxury of in the summer. We've procured quite a bit of disinfectant, spray that we have for most of the municipal buildings. It looks like we have a good supply of it, and working with Marianne, we're going to see about making some of that available to some of the businesses through the chamber if they have a need for that. On a different hat, speaking from the ferry, I think, I agree. I think that we can't let our guard down on here. We need the mask to be worn. It's not optional when on the boat. We've put on the website that, we've asked people to be mindful that we're going to try to keep the temperature down and keep air moving through the ventilation system, which might affect some of the temperature on the boat. So on our webpage, we've updated people about wearing they need a sweater when they're in the cabin as we go forward. Also, what we're looking to do is to keep the sales, particularly in Point Judith, outside. So we've ordered and are in the process of having for some of those have been around a while. Ken and Martha, if I remember the the plastic that was on the outside to help block with the wind barrier over in Point Judith. So that will be up. So we're going to try to keep it, keep the sales that take it outside, but provide some coverage. On the island, it's a limited how many can be in the building at a time. Fortunately, the bulk of our purchasing of the tickets comes from Point Judith. But there'll be additional signage put up for that. And I think the bottom line is, I agree with you, Martha. You know, we all just need to respect one another, regardless of what your feeling is on the mask. And I think we just need to be vigilant. I think it's easy to, to get COVID complacent. And I think this is going to be the real stretch for us. No one wants to go back to where we were in the spring. And I think that destiny is really, it's on our own hands.
Thank you, Bill. Sven Russo?
Yeah, I just want to go back a little bit to make sure that Marianne and or Dr. Crawford, Dr. Warkup can think about that proactive communication. Again, I appreciate that we're talking among 17 people here, but there's a lot more people, and to everybody's comments, both the enforcement and the personal responsibility. I just think we need to remind the three things, right? Wash your hands, keep your distance, and wear those darn masks. And if anybody does need masks, I have some left over from the summer, not a lot, but some. Thank you.
Thank you, Sven. Any further comments or questions on this?
Just that it get left on the agenda for next meeting. As a
Right.
plate.
Yeah, you did mention that. We heard that. Thank you. Okay, very good. Thank you, everyone, for your comments and concerns. And please, everyone, do pay attention if you're listening and if you're reading it on the Times or watching it on YouTube. Please take the message that we are concerned, and we do recommend you do use masks. And the best thing we can do is set examples for everyone coming to the island, whether we're traveling on the boat or just walking around the island during the day. Do wear your masks, everyone. The next item on the agenda is minutes. I don't believe we have any minutes to review this evening, correct? Therefore, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Seconded by Andre. Make sure everyone gets out to vote tomorrow. All those in favor, Andre?
Aye.
Sven?
Vote.
Chris?
Aye.
Martha?
Aye, and vote.
I vote in the affirmative also. Motion carries to adjourn. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this evening, and we'll see you next time. Stay safe.
Good night.
Thanks, Ken.
Yep, good night.